Picture this: 15 years old, stuck in a cold jail cell, charged with armed robbery. And this is not the start of a true crime documentary. It's the origin story of a man who would go on to sell over 1 million books, build a company that's generated tens of billions of dollars in revenue for himself and the people he's coached, and become one of the most unapologetic voices on wealth in the world today. His name is Randy Gage. And before there were sold out stages, before there were 16 books translated into 25 different languages, before the mansions and the expensive watch collection, there was a teenage alcoholic who thought the world owed him something, and a stranger who walked into his jail cell and told him he was capable of greatness. And he believed it. And that belief changed everything. But you have to understand, this isn't just a rags to riches story, because Randy did something almost nobody at the top ever does. He got everything: the cars, the money, and the big house. And then he looked at all of it and asked himself one terrifying question: do I own this stuff, or does this stuff own me? So he sold all of it, and he disappeared for 2 years to find out exactly who he was underneath all of that success. And today, in this episode, Randy's going to take you inside that jail cell and inside that journey of self-discovery and inside the philosophy that he calls being a sovereign operator. The exact mental framework for breaking the programming that keeps most people playing small their entire lives. If you've ever felt guilty for wanting more, if you've ever wondered whether chasing wealth makes you a bad person, this episode today is going to rewire the way that you think about money, identity, and what you're actually allowed to want. This is Big Swings Only. And Randy Gage is about to show you what it looks like when someone refuses to apologize for their own prosperity. And quick disclaimer, there is colorful language used throughout this episode.
So at 15 years old, I was sitting in a jail cell for armed robbery. Teenage alcoholic, drug addict, obviously had not made a lot of great choices in life. I was pretty bitter, disillusioned, thought the world was unfair. I was really sick of being poor. You know, you see people on TV and they say, "Oh, we were poor, but we didn't know it. There was so much love in our house." I'm like, nah, that dog don't hunt. Okay. My house, we were poor. We knew we were poor, and I hated being poor. Because I rode a bus to school. So I went to a school with kids who were not poor. Kids who they lived in big houses and they had their own bedroom, each kid. And they had their own bicycles and they got their own new clothes and their families drove nice cars and they went to nice places for vacation. And my family, we couldn't do any of that. So I shared a room with my older brother. My sister shared a bedroom with my mother. The four of us shared one bathroom. And I was autistic, which we didn't know at that time. No one even had a diagnosis for that back then. So I didn't fit in to begin with. This whole world was so overwhelming to me. And then to feel that disadvantage, and then I escaped with drugs and alcohol. And of course, we know what that does to your brain processing power and your decisions and the choices that you make. And so I had read about this Robin Hood guy, and he took stuff from the rich people and he gave it to the poor. I said, perfect. That's what I'll do. I'll steal it from the rich and give it to me. And, you know, that worked great until it didn't. And that's where that was a seminal moment in my life. Spending a couple of months in jail waiting for a trial. That's a good time to reflect on your life and the choices that you make.
Well, this is, I appreciate you telling this story, Randy, because when people look at you as literally a Hall of Fame public speaker, somebody who's accomplished so much, multiple books, 16 plus books and best-selling books, everything, this story would be shocking to them. Absolutely shocking. So take us to that moment. Take us to that moment when you were in that jail cell and you were having this time to reflect. What was running through your mind?
Most of the time I'm sitting on my cot. It's a big metal door. There's a little glass window with the safety glass running through it. Out in the hallway, there's a clock with a tick, tick, tick second hand on it. So I'm sitting there, tick, 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 watching that day after day. So this is, you don't need to go to a mountaintop in Nepal to meditate and pontificate and whatever. I was doing that, but how good can you really do that when you're 15 years old? How mindful are you? Even though I was highly intelligent, still 15 is 15. Your life experience, your emotional experience or lack of it. And then one day there was some jangling of keys, door opens and a guy walks in, and he is the father of a girl that I had gone to school with. And she had told, Dad, you have to go. Randy's in jail. Go save him, I didn't know him, who he was, anything. He introduced himself, told me his name was Baxter, and he was Joy's father. And he told me, you don't belong in here. You're capable of great things. And I told him, you're full of what. He probably should have slapped me. He didn't. He said, no, I mean it. I interviewed all your teachers before I came here. I called them up. They were all shared the stories they tell me that you skip school for 3 weeks in a row and you'll show up the next day and there's a test and you'll ace the test. Did you know your reading comprehension level is above college graduate level? And I didn't know that. I didn't know anything like that. I just thought school was dumb. Teachers were dumb. It was a waste of time. I didn't understand any of the purpose of any of that. And this guy rocked my world. And when he said I was capable of great things, at that point in my life, I was so desperate to believe that that was true that I believed it. And you know this, Kwame, from all of the shows you've done, all of the people you've talked to. If you believe it's true, it's true. And if I wouldn't have believed that was true, it wouldn't have been true. But at that moment, at that place in my life, in that time of reflection, I believed it was true. And to make a long melodramatic story less long and melodramatic, I had a public defender who believed in me. I had a judge who said, hey, let's give this kid a chance. We'll give him probation, keeps his nose clean till he's an adult. We'll expunge the record and, let's give him another shot. And fortunately, I took that shot.
Incredible. Have you contemplated what your life would have been like if Baxter didn't show up in the jail cell and say that to you?
Yeah, I would have been dead before I was 20, for sure. Is what I think.
It's fascinating because I know this is core to your philosophy, the importance of the people who are around you, the relationships that you have. And I'd like to dig into this because I'm assuming that in your life, there were probably more Baxters in different forms coming in and speaking life into you. Can you tell us more about the impact that others have had on you on this journey?
Not as many as you might think. Maybe because I was on the spectrum, because I love to read, the mentors and guides that I found for the rest of my life were usually dead people. And it was reading their books or reading books about them that Ayn Rand is a huge influence on my life. Reverend Ernest Holmes, The Science of Mind, Reverend Charles Fillmore, the book Prosperity. He was the co-founder of the Unity movement. So people like that. And even later, when I got into business and marketing, where I just was a voracious reader, a voracious student. And because I always had social anxiety issues. I'm not a extrovert. I'm not a glad hand. I'm not a networker, right? Um, if if you sent me to a networking event with 100 business cards, I would come home with 100 business cards, the same ones I left with. I would have been standing next to the plant, heading, hanging out, running to the bathroom. I don't know what. It's just not my thing, right? So, um, I didn't get a lot of mentors along the way physically, but I got them through my self-development program.
That's so fascinating. And Randy, I think that's going to be very validating and inspiring for a lot of people who shudder when they hear the word networking, because it's not, it's, it's like the social version of medicine. It's like nobody really wants to do it, but they feel like they have to do it in order to have a healthy career. And also, you're helping us to recognize that, yeah, sometimes mentors come in the form of real humans in front of you, interacting with you in vivo. And other times they can come from afar. They could not even physically be on this planet anymore and serve that role. I know when I listened and looked up to other thought leaders as I was developing, I would call them my distance mentors. Whereas you don't know me, I don't know
Right,
you
right.
beyond this parasocial relationship, but I've learned so much. And so you're what I love about this is that you are eliminating a lot of the excuses that people might have when it comes to what it takes to be successful, what it takes to be great and find prosperity, whatever that means to them. And I'd be interested to think at this point, especially considering your most recent book, your perspective on the term prosperity, because now after hearing your response, it's very fascinating to see that one of your distance mentors focused on prosperity, and now it's like a continuation of the lineage of that thought leadership with you. So tell us what prosperity means to you, especially considering your upbringing.
Yeah. So let me give a free resource to anybody watching or listening. Right on my website, randygage.com homepage, there's a PDF you can download for free. And it's called The 7 Elements of an Abundant Life. And that is just kind of a body of work I put together, short little booklet, easy to read, but I feel it captures the essence of the kind of life. If you want to live a prosperous life, if you want to live an abundant life, I sketch it out in there because life is too short not to be healthy, happy, and rich. Plain and simple. I believe every person on earth, it is our birthright to be healthy, happy, and rich. And to do that, the new book you mentioned, that's called Wealth Without Apology. That's book number 16. That is my magnum opus thus far of my life. Like that's my work put together into how we create a prosperous life. And I believe we do it in 4 quadrants. And the biggest lie out there right now in the podcast world, in the self-development world, the business world is what I call 1 quadrant success, right? So you've got all these, hey, be a grinder, be a hustler, work your face off. Coffee is for closers. I work 16-hour days. I cold call 400 people a day. I send 250 DMs a day. Um, okay. I mean, I'm a builder, right? I'm an entrepreneur. I've founded business and I know there's a time and a place for founder mode. And that founder mode might be 16-hour days. But if you're still doing founder mode a year and a half in, 5 years in, we got people who are 40 years in and they're still in founder mode. And those are the people, they wake up and they're 55 years old. Their body is completely breaking down on them. Their marriage is a disaster. Their kids don't want to spend time with them. They have no spiritual harmony. They have no any kind of harmony, right? But okay, they're flying private and they've got 4 houses and 17, supercars down in the garage. But that's one quadrant prosperity. So I believe there's 4 quadrants. First quadrant is resources, and that's where money and material things come into play. Quadrant 2 is wellness. Quadrant 3 I call harmony, and that would just be, for some people it's spiritual, other people it's secular, for other people it's religious, right? Everybody approach it. But in other words, you're comfortable in your own skin. You have a good relationship with others, with animals, with solar systems, but most importantly, with yourself. And then the 4th quadrant I labeled significance, which is, hey, I want you get to a point like I did. I mean, I chased, I have owned all those supercars, right? I have go search on the internet and you're going to see all the old pics of me with my supercars and my $85,000 watches and $220,000 watches and all the bling bling. And, because I bought the bullshit, which is one quadrant prosperity. But even if you buy the bullshit and you get really good at it, at some point you realize, wow, I don't really have any friends. Well, yeah, I know I haven't taken a day off in 3 years, but what would I do if I took a day off anyway? I don't have any friends. I have nowhere to go. I wouldn't know what to do. Like, I have this entrepreneur accelerator program, and, I get some really hard charging, high level people in it. And some of them I'm having to say, hey, we need to do a no device day for you 1 day a week. Some of these guys, I have to teach them, here's how to take a vacation. This is what a vacation actually looks like, right? So at some point, if you're on that trajectory, you get someone like me who's going to get up in your grill and then say, hey, at some point you're going to want to move from success to significance. And that's the 4th quadrant. Like, okay, I want to know that when I leave this planet, for whatever reason I do, whenever I leave it, I want to know it's better because I was here for some moment of time. And you want to do mentoring and you want to do philanthropy and you want to make an impact in a positive way.
This is so good. And as you were talking, I can't help but think about my own life. I can't help but think about the lives of other folks to see, how are we doing on this? Because the reality is, in society always focuses on that one quadrant success, especially in the business world. And especially for folks who are listening who want to take that big swing, it's so important for us to recognize what prosperity means holistically. And I'd like to take a trip down memory lane for you, Randy, because I am assuming that you did not just wake up at 17 with this knowledge. Most of the time when it comes to these types of things, we have to learn it through the school of hard knocks. So when was it that you recognized that the success that you were having wasn't making you feel prosperous in the way that you wanted to? Starting a business or launching a major new project is a massive swing. But what surprised me when I first set up my own storefront was how much simpler Shopify made the entire process. All of the high-powered tools you actually need to launch are included and ready to go from day one. You don't have to get bogged down in the mechanics. Shopify's design templates and AI tools get a stunning, highly professional site up and running fast with zero coding required. It makes your vision feel real instantly. And once you're live, Shopify checkout ensures that your customers can buy seamlessly in a single click, which gives you an immediate boost in conversion and confidence. And if you ever hit a roadblock or need to troubleshoot, Shopify's built-in AI assistant named Sidekick is right there to give you the answers and ideas you didn't even know that you needed. If you have been waiting to execute on your idea, head over to shopify.com/Kwame right now. All you need is the idea. Shopify handles the rest. Start your free trial at shopify.com/Kwame. That's shopify.com/Kwame. A few years ago, I realized that I was ruining my most important meetings. I would sit down with visionaries, partners, and high stakes builders, but instead of actually listening to them and being present, looking them in the eye, and trying to catch the subtle nuances of what they were actually saying, I was sitting there staring at my screen, frantically typing, trying to capture every single word so I wouldn't forget it later. I was so busy documenting the moment that I completely stopped being present in it. And when you're trying to pull off massive goals, you cannot afford to have your attention split. And that's why I started using Granola AI. It's an AI notepad built to augment how you actually work. It runs seamlessly in the background and transcribes the meeting directly from your device's audio. There's no automated user joining the call or distracting your clients. It just handles the heavy lifting of capturing the dialogue so you can finally lean in, listen deeply, and steer the conversation. So all you need to do during the meeting is just jot down a few of the bullet points that matter to you. But the moment the meeting ends, Granola AI blends your personal insights with the transcription to give you a sharp, highly structured summary of your action items. It keeps your mind entirely free to focus on the big picture. If you want to stop dividing your attention and start executing at a higher level, go to granola.ai/Kwame to try it out. That's granola.ai/Kwame.
Yeah, speaking of that, whoever that kid is with that School of Hard Knocks on the Instagram channel, I keep waiting for him every time I go out of a store. Where's this kid? I want to be on that channel. It's always so funny. They mostly look like they're excuse me, sir, are you rich? You look like you're rich. How did you make your first million? I think he's a cool guy. It's a cool channel, right? The For me, I guess for the big seminal moment for me was I took a sabbatical. And it was so funny how this came about. I think we got time. This is a long form thing. Let me tell the whole story. I don't know, I'm just experiencing what I call divine discontent with my life. I'm at the top of my game. I'm a New York Times best-selling author. I've spoken to more than 2 million people in more than 50 countries. I've got the money thing out of the way. I live in beautiful homes. I drive in beautiful cars. And something's missing, right? And I get this hand-lettered, hand-addressed mailing. And so I get it, and it's from someone I've never heard of. And I'm like, this is some son of a bitch went to one of my old marketing seminars because I used to teach that technique. Hey, if you really want to get someone attention, I used to hire grade school kids and have them hand letter stuff with crayons even, if you really want to get someone to open your mail, right? So I noticed that I'm like, oh, this is good. And then it's from a real estate agent. And he says, hey, I've got a buyer. They've got plenty of money. They want to pay all cash. They're looking for an apartment building in your stack. I mean, an apartment in your stack of my condo. My stack was the one that had 3 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, right? So they wanted that one. And I thought, man, I wonder if I just sold the thing and traveled the world or something. And I thought about it and nah, that's a crazy idea. So I throw the letter away. Maybe a week later, 5 days later, I don't know, I'm looking for a particular ball cap to wear. I moved some ball caps in my closet, and there's a couple of watches that I had bought like 2 years earlier. And what's the watch? God, that they say you don't own it, you just hold it for the next generation. You know the one I'm talking about? Oh God, I can't believe one of my favorite watches. I was a watch whore, right? I had like 250 watches. So one of them is that one. So it's like I don't know, $80,000 watch. And then there's like a $50,000 watch. And I've never worn either. They're both in the boxes. And what had happened is I had some workers working in my condo, and I had just got those watches, and I thought, I don't want to tempt anybody to do anything stupid, but so let me just put these back here and push these baseball caps in front of them. And I forgot I bought them.
Oh man.
So next day, so that was like, oh, this is weird. So I'm looking at these and I'm thinking, do I own all this stuff or does this stuff own me? This is really pretty crazy. There was a time I lived on $7,000 for a year, okay, and got by. And now I've got $120,000, $30,000 worth of watches I never even wore, right? I get the mail that day. There's the same letter. And I thought, okay, the universe is sending me a message here. It turns out the real estate guy told me later he had made a typo in the letter. And somebody called him up and said, "You're so unprofessional. How could you mail out a letter with a typo in it?" Blah, blah, blah. So he felt, I don't know, guilty or whatever. And he decided to remail the whole mailing with the correct untyped letter. Well, I don't know any of this. I just think, okay, the universe is sending me a message. So I call the guy and I say, I have apartment in that unit. I will sell it for this money, which was like $500,000 more than I paid for it because it was beautiful. It was a dream home. But I just thought if somebody wrote me a check for that on the spot, I would do it. So the guy sends his agent. He doesn't come himself because I don't know this. He's a sheik from Dubai. So he sends his agent with a cam, and he videos the whole thing. And then he says, "Yes, I'll take it." And I tell his agent, "Listen, he seemed to really love the layout and the furniture and everything, and I'm probably going to go on a sabbatical. So tell him if he adds another $100,000, I'll just leave it as is, just bring his toothbrush." Well, of course, what I think is a lot of money for the apartment and whatever. He's a sheik. He probably got it out of the sofa cushions, right? So he bought the place, paid the extra $100,000, and I just walked away. And I flew to, I stopped in San Diego a few days, and then I flew on to Sydney. I had an apartment in Sydney, so I said, I'll start in Sydney and hang out there a while, and I'm just going to travel the world, and I'm going to work on me, self-development, personal growth every day. And I did that for 2 years. I shut down my blog, my social media, everything, walked away from my businesses, put everything on maintenance mode, and just worked on me. And that was the most transformational time of my life thus far because it was just breakthrough after breakthrough. And that's when I think the significance part of the equation really came into play, that I realized, yeah, okay, great. I could buy another 26 watches this year and I'll have 276 instead of 250. I could buy another 3 cars and I could have 8 instead of 5, or I could buy another place and have 4 instead of 3 or whatever. And at some point you say, maybe there's more to life than this.
Huh. This is fascinating, Randy, because when I'm thinking about your life and I'm thinking about the breakthroughs that you've had and the various modes of evolution that you've gone through, and I'm seeing a through line. We have reflection, time to reflect. And when you were in your teenage years in that jail cell, the time to reflect was thrust upon you. You didn't have a choice. You had no other alternative but to reflect with the time that you had. And then when I asked you about your evolving perspective on prosperity, you had to force that time for self-reflection because the speed at which you were living probably didn't make much space organically for that type of reflection. And tell me if this is a landing, because when we're thinking about folks who are trying to accomplish big things, who are hustling hard, working hard, whatever it happens to be, it can be very scary to slow down. But at the same time, it seems like it's necessary to have those strategic injections of self-reflective time?
That is the vacuum dynamic of prosperity. If you have something clenched in your fist, nobody can put anything in it, right? If the universe, God, nature, whatever metaphor you want to use, whatever label you want to use, if you're hanging on to something, could be an addiction, could be a dysfunctional relationship, could be materialistic stuff, could be whatever. If you're hanging on to that, nobody can put in, you've got to release it. You've got to create a vacuum, right? So for some people, you have to remove negative, toxic people from your life in order to create a vacuum for somebody who's positive. You need to let go of limiting beliefs to replace them with empowering beliefs. That's what the Wealth Without Apology book is. That's the theme of it, is how we recognize limiting beliefs we have, brainwashing. It's literally brainwashing that we got, that money is bad and rich people are evil and it's spiritual to be poor. These kind of bullshit messages, which are a total lie. And we have to recognize them, blow up that programming, and then replace it with programming that empowers us. So we create a vacuum. And that means it's a scary thing. That's what you're alluding to with your question, is it can be scary to let that stuff go. I'm in that situation right now with my business. I'm letting go of a lot of business, of clients that pay a lot of money by their standards, and where they are to me. So they pay me $1 million a year in a consulting contract. And that's a lot of money for them. And it's a lot of money for me too, right? $1 million is still $1 million. Okay. It doesn't, it's substantial. But I recognize, hey, to do the scaling that I want to do the kind of work that I want to do and make the kind of impact I want to make, I have to release some of these clients because they're not growing fast enough that they can afford me at the rates I'm charging now for new people that work with me. Did the same thing. I have an entrepreneur accelerator program, and I had a middle level that was $500 a month. And I just said, you know what? I can't justify that time. So I raised it to $19.97 a month. So it's a 4-time increase. I took the top level was 10 grand a month. I raised it to 15,000 a month. So what am I doing? I'm creating a vacuum. And I think, and that's what I'm teaching the people I'm working with is, hey, I'm showing you, this is not some thing I read in a book somewhere. I'm eating my own dog food. I'm showing you, this is how I keep manifesting a higher level of prosperity. I keep challenging myself and growing in the value that I can provide. And I have clients that can't keep up with that because they don't apply it, right? I can take any business in the world. I don't care what the business is. If you got a viable product, that actually has value, I could help you scale it, 10x it, 50x it, 100x it. It's people don't understand. It's easier to run $1 million a year business than it is to run $100,000 a year business. What they don't know is the next level. It's easier to run $100 million a year business than it is to run a $1 million a year business. Because when you commit to scale, when you commit to operating at that level, then you realize, okay, I can do this stuff I'm doing all day, every day, this busy work, where I'm the bottleneck. Everything comes to me. I'm the, keeping my head above water. I'm the sole, superstar running the business. Every big decision has to be made with me. Everything has to come to me. I can't do that if I want to do $100 million. I have to put systems, processes, any business I look at, anything I'm going to do myself, I ask myself 3 questions. How do I automate? How do I systematize? And how do I scale? And if I can't see a pathway in those three things, it's a terrible business, and I don't want to be involved with it. How could I go on a sabbatical for 2 years and have my income actually go up? Whereas most people, if they took 3 weeks off from their business, they'd lose 50% of their revenue. Or if they took 6 weeks off, they'd come back and their business wouldn't even exist, right? So I'm showing my own people, hey, and like these, and nobody likes to have their price quadrupled, right? And I know, and people have told me, hey, I did this at 500. I'm not going to pay 2,000 a month. And I say, thank you. I appreciate it. I love you. I respect you. And that's okay. I need to move on. And what am I doing? I'm practicing the vacuum law. And at every stage of growth, I'm using a business example, but we could do it in relationships. We could do it in health, right? You have to let go of something that's holding you back to step into the level you really want to go.
What I love about this, Randy, is that you make it sound easy. And I know for the person listening, they're saying, this isn't easy. I've been trying this and failing at it for so long. But there's a mindset shift that you have made that allows you to kind of flip the switch, so to speak, because it sounds like there's an element of strategic foresight that you have, but then there's also the ability to understand the knowledge of the industry, knowledge of business. There's the know-how, but then there's also the commitment. You talked about commitment. You talked about manifestation. That's the mindset element. Can you help us to understand how people who are listening can replicate your level of success by understanding both of them?
Well, first thing, there's two points I want to make to that question. And the first one, I'm assuming you got your high quality, talented superstar producer in the room right now. And I'm assuming he'll know how to edit and bleep out certain language. So let's get that out of the way. First of all, it's not easy. It's hard as fuck. Let me say that again. It's hard. What I do is hard as fuck. What my clients do, like one of my guys, he's going to break a long-time client, worked with for almost 20 years. He's going to be a unicorn in the next 3 months. He'll be worth $1 billion, right? So that's hard as fuck. So I'm not saying it's easy, but what I'm saying is it's easier for my friend to run $1 billion business than it is for him to run $100 million business because of the systems and the processes and the things he had to put into place. For instance, me, 2025 was the greatest year of my life, the greatest year of my career in terms of the acceleration I did on my health, my personal development, my investments, my revenue and my businesses, everything. Just scaling to the moon. And 26 is going to be better than 25 was. But I created a vacuum. I redid my schedule. I had used VAs. I had sold a lot of businesses a while back. My personal assistant retired a couple of years ago because she was like 70 or something. And I said, okay, I'm just going to use virtual assistants from now on. I'm never going to have another employee again. And I read 10X is better than 2X by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Ben Hardy, and Who Not How, another book by the same two guys. And I realized, yeah, I really want to scale more. I want to be working in my genius zone. I need to challenge myself. I need to start peeling away the onion, get rid of this busy work I'm doing. I can't have the kind of impact I have that I want to have doing the stuff I'm doing. I don't have time to post a blog. My time should be writing the blog. I don't have time to be editing a podcast. I should be creating the podcast. So I hired a full-time executive assistant and I said, I need you to handle my calendar. I need that when I come home from a speech, the car is washed and filled up with gas. I need food in the refrigerator. I need you to hire a Colombian abuelita to come in once a week and prepare all my meals and stack them up. And she's here working right now, right? Get me that. Handle the email, handle the scheduling, and let me work in my genius zone. And I just keep, that's what the business is for you to go. That's why it's easier to run the $1 million business than the $100,000 business. Because when you're running the $100,000 business, you're doing all the bullshit stuff that you shouldn't be doing, right? For most of the people watching this, okay, maybe you can't hire an executive assistant, pay him what I pay my guy. I get it. I was there once too. But I'll tell you what I do know. You can't afford to clean your fucking house. You can't afford to wash your fucking dishes and do your own laundry or mow your own lawn or shovel your own snow. There's people or AI agents that you need to bring in to free you up so you can be working in rainmaker activities. And again, you do it in stages. And again, if you find doing laundry is relaxing, great, do laundry. If you find mowing your lawn is like a meditative experience, great, do it. But the other stuff, you can't afford to be doing that. You can't afford. I literally just did a video. It'll be on my YouTube channel. By the time this is out, it'll be on my YouTube channel. It's what's the title?
Let me tell you one of the biggest shifts I've seen in how top negotiators and leaders operate. They've stopped trying to do everything themselves. The best ones know how to bring in the right expertise fast, and they stay focused on what only they can do. And that's exactly what Upwork makes possible. Upwork is a one-stop platform to find, hire, and pay expert freelancers across all sorts of different industries: web and software development, data and analytics, marketing, business operations, and more. Over 125 different categories of specialized talent ready when you need them. You can browse profiles, review past work, and even get help scoping the role so you hire with confidence and move fast. And if you need the absolute best, Business Plus gives you access to the top 1% of talent on Upwork, with AI-powered shortlisting that matches you to the right person in under 6 hours. Contracts, payment, the whole operational headache. Upwork handles it all in one place so you can stay focused on growing the business. It's free to sign up, and posting a job is easy. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com. That's UPWORK.com to connect with top talent ready to grow your business. If you look at how modern brands are built, the old playbook of uploading a flat photo to a static website and hoping for the best is dying. The future belongs to the builders who understand human connection. And right now, there is one platform that is completely rewriting the rules of commerce, and that is Whatnot. Whatnot is the largest dedicated live shopping platform in the country. It covers everything from luxury fashion and beauty to electronics and collectibles. And what makes it brilliant is the sheer velocity of the business model. Sellers on Whatnot are moving more inventory in a single live show than most traditional online storefronts move in an entire month, simply because they are leveraging live connection and community. Buyers are spending over an hour a day in the app, engaging with passionate professionals to discover unbeatable deals and shop name brands without the retail prices. And this isn't just a casual digital storefront. It is a massive wealth builder. The number of sellers making over $1 million a year on Whatnot has literally doubled. It provides a real thriving path for anyone looking to scale an audience and turn what they love into a high-growth business. If you are serious about taking a big swing with your brand, Whatnot is the vehicle that can get you there. Search Whatnot, WHATNOT, on the App Store, download it, and you can start selling right away.
It's because it's about how this isn't really time. I think the title is How I Get More Done by Noon Than Most People Do in a Week. So, look at it. You guys watch and check my YouTube channel. How I get more done by noon than most people do by the week. And it isn't about time management. It's about the mindset. It's about the thought process of, hey, what are the important things I should be doing? What are the just the bullshit busy work stuff that I could automate with AI? Right? Then what are the things I can hire someone to do? What are the things I can outsource to do? So what is my Dan Sullivan calls it your unique ability. My context I'm always working with it on is I want to be in my genius zone. My genius zone is writing books, working one-on-one with my anarchist level people in my accelerator program, working with my corporate consulting clients, writing blog posts, creating my YouTube videos. That's my genius zone. Everything else, I got to find a way to get someone else doing that stuff. And I think every person watching this who wants to become an entrepreneur, or same thing, you could be watching this saying, I don't give a shit about being an entrepreneur. I run a nonprofit. I want to feed more starving kids in Kenya. Okay. It's the same principles for you.
This is brilliant because the thing that I appreciate the most is that it's not time management, it's a mindset shift. And what we are recognizing is that in order to get to the next level, it requires a fundamental shift in the way that you think and an identity shift as well. Because what I'm recognizing is that for the people who are trying to take big swings, the standard rules of engagement do not apply. You cannot do the standard things, the things that everybody's doing, and then achieve the life of your dreams. It is not possible.
You have no idea how you could have co-wrote one of the chapters in this book with me because you said two words. You said identity shift. Because one of the fundamental premises of this book is that you will never out earn the self identity that you have created for yourself. And so, and that's what you were really referencing by what you just said is you got to unlock the ceiling, the mental ceiling that you've created for yourself. Because I think people should take big swings only, all in on that. And what you just said is the issue. If you think, well, I'm not the kind of person who would take big swings. Oh, people like me don't take big swings. What if I take big swings and then people don't like me? What if I take big swings and now my friends and family think I went uptown and I'm too cool for school now or whatever? That's, the title of the book is Wealth Without Apology. That was never the original title of the book. The book was like, I'm going to write the guidebook for how you manifest a life of abundance. I take all my previous work, all my previous books, and I want to put it together in a kind of a sequential process of what the mind shift has to happen, how you blow up, kill off the old identity that's holding you back, and create the new self identity. And then I was starting writing the chapters by chapter. And then I get to the one about how we get brainwashed and how we get made to think small. And then how we made to feel guilty when we take big swings, right? And there's a chapter in there titled You got the Bugatti, but you still have the mindset of a Toyota owner. What happens there? You got to change, you got to upgrade this self-identity. Then I wrote a chapter and I realized one of the things that I've discovered is when you get money with a capital M, you're going to attract a whole new world of fanatical friends who adore you, right? And you know where this is going, right? So you will get more wedding invitations and graduation invitations and bar mitzvah invitations and you're like, who's that? Isn't that the guy who installed the cable? Who's that? Isn't that the bag boy at the supermarket? Because of course they're saying, well, if we invite Kwame to the wedding, he's kind of rich, so maybe he'll buy the microwave that we've got in the registry at Kmart, or what? I guess we don't have Kmart, but Target. I guess it'd be Target if they sell. I don't know. I've never been at a Target, but I assume they sell microwave wherever, Best Buy, wherever, right? So I'm writing all these chapters, and it dawns on me, this isn't the title I have for this book isn't right. So I put in the table of contents and the first draft into Chat GPT. And I said, here's the book, here's the table of contents. I don't think this chapter is the right chapter. What do you think better reflects what the theme of this book is going to be? And it came back with about 10 of them. But one of them was Wealth Without Apology. Second I saw it, I'm like, that's the name of the book.
This is going to be life-changing for people because, again, the identity shift element of it is so often overlooked when we think about what it takes to be successful, especially in business. We think about it as an issue of tactics or strategies. If you have all of the tactics, all the strategies, there's still going to be something inside of you that holds you back if you don't have the right identity and you haven't addressed the brainwashing that has happened. Now, when we think about the terms identity and brainwashing, these are terms that everybody inherently understands more so as it applies to other people. So we often think other people have problematic identities. I'm fine, but I can see how it affects other people. Other people have been brainwashed. I'm fine, but I can see how it affects other people. So how can people start to identify the parts of their identity that might need an upgrade or evolution and the brainwashing that has occurred? Because it's highly likely that the people that they're currently surrounding themselves with have similar elements of their identity and similar brainwashing, so you just think it's normal. So how can we start to become a little bit more self-aware and go through that self-reflection to start to make those shifts?
Okay, so another book I wrote a few years ago is called Radical Rebirth, and that entire book is just dedicated to the programming, the brainwashing. I believe there are, let me sum up my work, which will lead people to the process that they've got to go through that you're asking about. The premise of my work and what makes my work different than any of the other 8 billion people on planet Earth is I have identified 2 concepts that I don't think people are looking at, and this is where the breakthroughs live. The first concept is what I call the inherited meanplex encoding. IME, inherited meanplex encoding. Where does inherited come from? Well, here's the thesis of my work is there are 6 main areas that create a prosperous life. Our beliefs in 6 areas: money and success, work and career, marriage and relationships, God and religion, health and wellness, sex and sexuality. 6 areas. So we develop those beliefs, or we think we develop them, but by the time we're 8 years old. And most people keep those beliefs their whole life. So if their parents bickered, one cheated on the other, one was abusive, they got the belief that this is what relationships look like. That's what a normal relationship is, because you don't know any better. So you carry that forward till you're 30, 35, and you say, are you saying I blew up my marriage at 38 because of some programming that I got when I was 8? And I'm saying, yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. Are you telling me I'm a diabetic and had a heart attack at 42 because of programming I got by the time I was 8? Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So those, we think we use the word like we developed those beliefs, but we didn't really develop them. We inherited them from our family of origin, education system, government, organized religion, and what I call the data sphere. TV, movies, internet, social media, all of that. So those 5 things, they're what program us. They're what brainwash us. They infect our mind with memes. A meme is a mind virus. People hear meme, they say, oh, that's a slide on Instagram. No, they kind of hijack that term, but the actual definition of meme was by Sir Richard Dawkins in his book, The Selfish Gene. He came up with this word to identify the science of memetics, or the science of memes. So a meme is just a mind virus. A mind virus would be money is evil. A mind virus would be to be a successful career woman, you have to be a bad mommy. It's a mind virus. And your subconscious mind gets infected with it. And when you have a group of related memes, they're called a memeplex. So money is bad, rich people are evil, it's spiritual to be poor. Those are 3 related memes that would create a memeplex about money. So inherited, memeplex, encoding. What is encoding? It's what I'm referring to as the brainwashing we get, right? The framework. So what happens when we get encoded, we become that thing. We become that characteristic. So the first part of my work is, hey, we all have this IME, which creates your operating system. So 90% of the world has got a poverty conscious operating system. And until and unless you go and question the premise, challenge those beliefs, blow up the limiting beliefs, replace them with empowering beliefs, then you can get a prosperity conscious operating system. And when you can create that kind of a positive operating system, you become the second big concept of my work, which is you become what I define a sovereign operator. You're now inoculated against that programming. You're like that book. I'm trying to inoculate people against the rackets and the guilt that their friends will run on them. What do you mean you won't give me the money for this yet? Jimmy, I've lent you money 5 times before. You always said you never pay me back, and then you always come with another. Yeah, but it's different, My bitch ex-wife, she's suing me because I didn't pay the child support, and now they're going to impound my car. And if I lose my car, I'm going to lose my job, and that'll be your fault. I thought you were a good Christian, right? What has happened? He's guilting you, right? So if you're a sovereign operator, they can't guilt you anymore. They can't program you anymore. You don't fear government because you don't need government. You don't get manipulated by religion because you don't need doctrines and dogma. You're self-sufficient. You're comfortable in your own skin. You know what your skills and talents and abilities are. You've got the money thing out of the way. You've got, it's a vulgar term to say, hey, I got fuck you money, but that's a really important part of being a sovereign operator. You got fuck you money. People can't control you. They can't cancel you because you don't need them. You have created, like me. I mean, I say, you can see in 1 hour of this podcast, I say 5 things every day that would get me canceled. Right? I don't care. Cancel me. I have my work. I've found my tribe, who I know are the people that I can help get to where they want to go. They know I'm the guy they want to work with to help to go where they want to go. And they're not going to care if somebody on X says that I should be canceled. You know what I mean? This is my goal. My ultimate mission. I want to make the world more prosperous. But I know we don't make the world more prosperous with charity. I love charity. I'm a big philanthropist. I won the Philanthropist of the Year award, for God's sakes. So I believe in it, but that's a bandage. That's not the solution. And entitlement programs, they're not the solution. The way we make the world more prosperous is we make people more prosperous. And to do that, we have to change the way they think. I wrote Wealth Without Apology to change the conversation about money and health and happiness and success.
And I can't help it, Randy. I think it's the negotiator in me, but the term that keeps coming to mind is leverage. And a lot of times people are living lives of minimal leverage while giving other people, other thought processes, other entities maximum leverage over them. And the easiest, simplest way to analyze leverage is whoever needs the deal most loses. So if you need the deal more, then you're going to be more willing to give up concessions to get the deal. If somebody doesn't need the deal at all, they'll just say, hey, listen, make your deal, make your offer better. I don't care either way. And the indifference, the detachment is the source of power. And it's so interesting because people don't recognize that this is happening to them because it's happening to everybody. It's the norm. It is the norm. And so for me, I always ask myself, what game am I willing to play? The only games I want to play at this point are games that I for sure can win because they're all within my control. Think about the example of the person who was trying to guilt you. There was a time in our lives where somebody might try to guilt us, and then we play the game of what can I do to get this person's validation and acceptance. That's the game I'm playing. And since I need that validation and acceptance from them, now they have leverage over me, and I keep on giving more things to them. Right. And so once you start to look at it through the lens of leverage, you start to recognize, hey, if I want to truly be a sovereign operator, then I need to get to a point where I'm analyzing the dependencies that I have and figuring out how I can be less dependent on others and more reliant on myself. And that's how we can start to take these steps toward prosperity and living the life that we want to live on our terms.
You get it incisive, just 100%. Like religion. Like, I don't want anyone to think I'm here to convince you to change your religion or stop your religion or whatever. That was one of the coolest things I did in my sabbatical is I studied all the major organized religions of the world. I think the core message of almost all of them is love. So I don't have a problem with religion. I have a problem with organized religion, because that's where the control comes into. That's the leverage you're speaking about. You know what a religion needs, organized religion needs? It needs you to need it. You know what governments need? They need you to need them. That's the leverage they have on you. That's why I say a sovereign operator, governments can't leverage me because I can say I have enough financial wherewithal. I could go and show you my what's the whatever the Matt Damon movie, the Identity,
The Bourne movies?
Bourne. I could show you my Bourne Identity box of cash and passports and whatever to say. I don't need it. I love the United States of America. I was born here. I'm a proud American. Q Lee Greenwood, everything. But if government ever comes to the point where I say, hey, I don't have to live here, I don't have to live here. They can't control me. I have the financial wherewithal to go anywhere. There's no organized religion that can manipulate me or guilt me into supporting their cause. I will support the things that I personally believe in that don't need to guilt me or run rackets on me or run leverage on me. That's the goal of sovereign operator, is we become self-sufficient. And we haven't talked about AI at all, but that's very relevant to this concept of being a sovereign operator. Because in the world of AI, the sovereign operators are the people that can't be replaced by AI.
Right. Before we bring in Simone, I want to ask you for your perspective on what these words mean to you. So, abundance, scarcity, enough, and manifestation.
Abundance is not accumulating things, and scarcity is not the absence of things. Abundance and scarcity are both mindsets. You have a mindset of abundance where you know I will attract this or something better. The things I need to get the life I want, I will attract that. And scarcity is also a mindset. Like there's people in my family who have a scarcity mindset, right? So if I say, hey, let's go downtown for dinner, their first default setting is going to be, it's Friday night, we'll never get a table, there'll be nowhere to park. That's a scarcity. It's a default setting, right? It's a mindset. There is no, the people think prosperity is finite. They think money is finite. But all true forms of prosperity are infinite, right? If somebody says, hey, Kwame, give me a hug, you don't say, well, no, I only got 7 hugs left and the weekend's coming up. And hey, the more hugs I give away, the more hugs I get back. The more love I give away, the more love I get back. And the same way, people think money is finite. Money is completely infinite. There's people say, well, I can't raise enough money for my business. No, you don't have a money shortage. You have an idea shortage. All right. You have a signal shortage, but there's no money shortage. There is literally trillions of dollars and pesos and pounds and rubles and whatever, desperately looking for something to invest it in. Do you know how much cash Apple computer is sitting on right now? Do you know how much cash Warren Buffett is sitting on right now? That they have in these crappy 3%, 4% bank accounts, municipal bonds, whatever, desperately looking for something that would give them a better return on investment. Even Bitcoin, people say, well, no, Bitcoin is finite because they're only going to mine. No, the only value of a Bitcoin is what somebody is willing to trade you for it. And this is true of any kind of currency, cryptocurrency, fiat currency. The true prosperity is only created 2 ways. We solve problems or we add value. And if you can solve problems or add value, people will crawl naked over broken glass and throw their money at you. So there is no money shortage. Money is infinite. And manifestation, I think that was the last word you asked me. It's just the process of attracting your true prosperity, creating, to me, the ultimate highest IQ, the highest genius is the ability to create your ideal life.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. And one more, enough, the word enough as it relates to prosperity.
The most dangerous words in the human language are, how much is enough? Those 4 words. How much is enough? Not because those 4 words are inherently evil, but because the motive of the person who is asking that question 99% of the time. The question is coming from scarcity or poverty consciousness. How much is enough anyway? A car just takes you from point A to point B. They're all the same. You're full of shit if you think that. Okay. You have obviously never ridden in a Bentley Continental GT, or you would never make such a foolish statement. If you say, oh, the hotel rooms, once you turn off the light, they're all the same anyway. If you believe that, you're full of shit. Okay. If you believe that, you have never stayed at the 4 Seasons. You don't know the difference between a $4,000 mattress and a $400 mattress. You don't know the difference of a room that you hear every time the elevator door goes. You don't know the difference of a room that has moldy air conditioning. I was in a hotel suite. They had three balconies, three hot tubs, and a koala bear in a tree in my room. Now, if you think that is the same as a room at the Hilton Garden Inn, then you need to get your head examined. Okay. So now, if we want to approach the how much is enough issue of, yeah, do we want to not be hedonistic? Because that was really the question when I sold everything and gave away everything and I went on my 2 year sabbatical was, hey, do I own this stuff or does this stuff own me? And I want to get into, I want to go back and discover who I really am and what really adds value to my life. And if you want to do that kind of introspective, then I will salute you. But like I say, 99% of the time when someone asks that question, it's just to propagate those ridiculous, not true negative beliefs. Cars are all the same, hotel room, you can only wear 2 shirts a day, how much is enough, and it's a very limiting negative belief.
This is great. This is great. Because there, as you speak, there are certain things that you say that are ridiculous beliefs that I'm realizing I have yet to unlearn, and it's so fascinating. Which again speaks to what you were talking about at the very beginning. You have to put yourself in front of people, whether they're in vivo or distance mentors, to start recognizing how you can shift your mindset. And honestly, when I was thinking about the word enough, I was thinking about it from the perspective of the go-getter, the person who is taking the big swing, because that's something I recognize with myself where it's there was a time, I'm better at it now, where I would get an accomplishment and I would say, well, it's not as good as what that person did, or no, I could do more. And then I say, okay, where does this mentality end? So I was thinking about it from that element, and I'm recognizing.
Yeah, and you know what, Kwame? There's a chapter in the book on this theme that I said earlier: divine discontent, divine discontent. Whereas I believe that's what drives high level achievers forward. Is we can appreciate what we have and still aspire to do, have, and become more. And that's the balance of a sovereign operator. Is they it's not just a sovereign operator would never make more money just to make more money. It's not even on our radar. We make more money because we know that's the direct result of becoming the highest possible version of ourselves. The money, you can't prevent people from throwing money at you if you continue to increase the value that you give the world, whether they're throwing money at you to pay you, to be around you, to have access to you, to get advice from you, or they're throwing that money at you because they just want to support your work, whether it's a profit or a nonprofit. That is like, I just want to see this work continue to get out into the world.
Amazing. No, that's very, very helpful. And I know, Simone, my bad. I was being selfish. Want to get you in, and Randy, thank you for this. This has been great.
I have interviewed with Kwame maybe, I don't know, 200, 300 people, and I keep hearing the same message of many things that no one told me at school. No one. So no one told me how to negotiate. No one taught me how to negotiate. So and it is very important for life. No one taught me how to choose a proper girlfriend, for instance, and that's very important. And I had to learn the hard way, as I had to learn the hard way how to negotiate. I am a designer. At the university, no one told me how to charge money for my work. I had three different teachers in Photoshop. They told me exactly how to use every tool at Photoshop, but no one told me how to charge money for that.
Right.
So why they keep on installing in our brains those viruses, those things? Why they don't teach us how to actually get the money for what we do, or give us all the information to open our eyes. Why is that?
Because they are infected with the same mind viruses and they don't even know they're infected. So they're just this is why we call them memes. A meme, remember, is a mind virus. So this virus infects your subconscious mind just like a virus would infect the hard drive on your computer.
Wow.
Your subconscious mind, that's your operating system. So, like, if you read any of my books, you would see some of this, but like the Radical Rebirth book, the new one, Wealth Without Apology, you'll see like the subliminal messages. And remember, I told you we got those 5 areas that brainwash us, right? Data sphere is a big one. So, in some of my books, I break down, hey, let's look at whatever generation you are. Like, I'm a baby boomer and we go all the way to. So if you're a baby boomer like me, what were the TV shows that you grew up watching? You watched Gilligan's Island. How were rich people portrayed in Gilligan's Island? We watched the Beverly Hillbillies. How were rich people portrayed in that, right? And then we had the next generation. They watched MASH. Well, wasn't there always one rich guy in the tent? Thurston, what was his name? Charles Winchester, who, plays opera and he's very wealthy or whatever. And the third, like, same thing with Gilligan's Island. Wasn't it Thurston Howell the third? So we learn rich people are very persnickety. They use titles. They're very pretentious, right? And then we go forward to Dallas and Dynasty and Melrose, how are wealthy people portrayed? How are successful people portrayed? And then go right up to today. Succession, Billions, House of the Dragon. How do we portray rich people? So you are brainwashed without even knowing it, right? So I can go to any one of the Jurassic Park movies. I can go to any one of the Alien movies. I can go to Jaws. I can go to any movie, whatever the genre is. And I know who the bad guy is because it's going to be the wealthy person, right? So, like, I haven't even gone to the last Jurassic Park movie because this is number, 29 or whatever it is. But I remember seeing the trailer and there's 2 kids and they're in like a glass bubble and the dinosaur is trying to eat the kids inside. Now, I've never been to the movie. I probably won't go because I know the plot already. But I can guarantee you those 2 kids didn't get eaten by the dinosaur because those kids are the star of the movie. They have to be the heroes, right? Who's going to get eaten by the dinosaur? The first guy who's going to get eaten is the guy who has the most guns, the most ammo packs and guns and rifles and weapons. That's the first guy who's going to get eaten. But then the culmination of the movie is going to be the wealthy billionaire, trillionaire who's running the amusement park or running the research lab or running the whatever. That's the guy that the culmination is the dinosaur has to eat him because we have to anchor the memes in your brain. Money is bad. Rich people are evil. It's spiritual to be poor. To be successful in business, you got to be a bad parent. To run a successful company, you got to rip off your employees and plunder the environment. The memeplex, right? So you are going to the design school, learning Photoshop from people who went to design school, learning Photoshop, saying, this is what worker drones in the collective do. They learn Photoshop and they work for $22.50 an hour. And if they're really good, they will make $80,000 a year. And they'll kill themselves to do it. And you never read a book by some crazy motherfucker named Randy Gage who said, Simone, why in the fuck are you doing Photoshop? Why aren't you using AI tools to do your Photoshop for you and training other people how to do Photoshop and creating a business and then creating others how they could create their business and put leverage into your life And so you could create your ideal life with your ideal clients at your ideal income. They don't teach that in business school, because who's teaching business school? A bunch of professors who are employees who got fed the same bullshit memes. Okay. There's another video. You have to put this on your show notes. Okay. The video, it's on my YouTube channel, and I wrote, that title is Why I Would Burn an MBA degree Before I Would Frame It. Right? Because I'm a high school dropout. That's why I'm successful. I didn't allow anyone to brainwash me into being a worker drone in the collective, right? I got expelled from school. I didn't have a choice, but that forced me. That was the greatest blessing, because I became an entrepreneur then.
Man, Randy, this is so good. So good. And I think this is a good advertisement for people to check out our YouTube page once we start putting our videos on, because I want people to see my face and Simone's face when you answered that question. that was great. Randy, I appreciate you, brother. This is so helpful. And I appreciate you sharing all of this in general, but also sharing your story. Because when, again, like I said at the beginning, when people look at everything that you've accomplished at this point, it would be very hard to believe the humble beginnings that you had. But now they can also see in themselves there is a path forward. So this is important work. So before you go, I want to, again, thank you and give you a last chance to let the listeners know again about the book and how they can get in touch and connect with your work.
Okay, so randygage.com. That's kind of my Starfleet command site. Podcast is there. YouTube show is there. My blog is there. Got like 10,000 blog posts on money, success, prosperity, things like that. Then my Breakthrough You, which is my entrepreneur accelerator program. The kind of people who are watching this show are the kind of people would thrive in that room. So take a look at that. And then the new book, Wealth Without Apology, buy two, because I need the money. Buy two. And I say buy two because I really want you to buy two. I want you to buy one for you, yourself, to read. And then I want you to buy a second copy, and I want you to give it to some young couple that's arguing, newlyweds who are arguing about money every day, or some graduate, high school or college, who's just getting exposed to the world without knowing what the rules are and how the game is played, or particularly to a young or in aspiring entrepreneur. That book will really help them think about money and health and happiness and just the overall picture of prosperity in a whole new way.
Amazing. Randy, thank you again for coming on the show. Really appreciate it.